Hello YouTube. While I normally do videos about trucks and travel trailers and stuff that's in my everyday life, I thought I would introduce you to another chapter. And this video is going to primarily be why I chose a Tenere 700 over a KLR 650 for an adventure bike, which is something that I've been wanting to get into for a long time. So there's a whole bunch of videos on these bikes being ridden. I'm not gonna ride tonight as it's extremely cold, and this will just be kind of an in-garage thoughts, so to speak. I'm an avid rider of many things. I've had multiple motorcycles in my life, from Ducatis to crotch rockets to dual sports, dirt bikes through and through. So I'm well versed on motorcycles. So I picked this up today. This is a 2024 Yamaha T7 or Tenere 700, as they call it. And I will start by saying I was wanting a KLR 650. That was the bike I was going to go to. I don't need speed. I don't need power. I want something comfortable off-road, capable on-road, that I could camp off of. I could do some moto adventuring, etc. So in looking into the KLR 650 and learning about multiple things, I researched the crap out of it. Everything, let me turn on a light here. Everything I look to purchase, I will spend months and months and months researching. The KLR is a good bike. However, a lot of conversation about the doohickey. Is it a problem? Is it not? Very controversial statements on YouTube. The thermal bob to regulate the coolant temperature. Little stuff like that that people talk about, you need to do, you must do, and some people say you don't want to do. I don't want reliability issues, period. I want something that's going to fire up, get me where I want to go for many, many years to come. I don't have to worry about carrying oil. I don't want to worry about is something a problem. Somebody says yes, others say no. Some people say they're bulletproof. Some people say they've actually had issues and failures. Again, I'm a worst case scenario kind of guy. I like reliability, hence Honda, Yamaha. It's what I've always owned for the most part, minus the Ducati, which I love the Ducati. So KLR is cheaper, right? 7,000-ish, give or take, for a brand new machine. Tenere 700, a little more. They want 10.7, I think, for these now. For the first time ever, quite an interesting ordeal. When I made the deal on this bike, I made an offer to the dealership, cash. And for the first time in my life, they countered with a lower number than what I offered. Go figure. Never seen it before in my life. Didn't ask questions. So ultimately, obviously, I went with T7. As you can see, I have a whopping 32 miles on this, with an average fuel economy of 51.9 miles to the gallon. So this display here, another reason why I chose the T7 over the KLR. KLR had a fine dash. I want simplicity. And you're probably thinking you want simplicity, but yet you have a little mini tablet on your bike with a bunch of gauges. Fair point. I want simplicity in the motorcycle. The fact that this has all these gauges and options and stuff like that wasn't a big deal to me, but I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of nice. Again, KLR, not a bad motorcycle. They have a huge following, but for me, 6 foot tall, 225 pounds. One of the biggest complaints about the KLR was it's underpowered. Well, for a bigger individual like myself, I want a little more horsepower. So KLR is a 650 single cylinder. This is a 700 twin. So you're going to get a little more horsepower. I believe the KLR is right around 40 to 45. Fact check me on that. And this one I believe is 80, if I remember right, 70 to 80, something like that. I have not ridden either one of them before I made the decision, but this bike, sitting on it in the showroom floor versus sitting on the KLR, this bike was like it was made for me, hands down. Like it was tailored to me. Some of the videos on this bike say that one of the complaints is about it being top heavy. Now, maybe it's because I've grown up in the dirt bike realm. I've ridden for many, many years. Again, I've got 32 miles on this bike of just trying to break it in town, some gravel roads. I have yet to feel a hint of top heaviness, but again, I'm a bigger guy, very, very used to riding off-road. So anyway, going back to the reliability things. The motor in this motorcycle has been around for quite some time, and literally this has zero, I will call it quirks, I will call it needed modifications after you purchase to make it reliable. And that, in the end, that's all I wanted. I want something that is bulletproof once you keep the maintenance up on it. Looks wise, I think that this bike and the KLR are both very good looking machines. Don't have a gripe about either one of them. I will be getting some Tusk, probably gonna go with the soft bags for the rear. I'm gonna be getting the crash bars for the front, bark busters on the handlebars, just to kind of start so I can commute around town. And then the biggest thing is the adventure riding. But this motorcycle will have more videos to come. I think I made the right decision. I really think the KLR was not the bike for me. People can call these entry level, they can call them intermediates, they can call them whatever they want. I'm 41 years old. I've been riding since I was 5 years old. Am I an expert? I don't claim to be an expert at anything, but I'm not a beginner either. I've ridden more than my share of 2-wheel, 4-wheel, 3-wheel, you name it. And I feel confident on all of it. But this bike is exactly what I was looking for. Highly recommend if people are looking at the Tenere or the KLR, which I think are the most economical for motorcycles. And actually I was going to show you one of my favorite things here. Oh, I guess you got to start it up. I'll start it up for you. I love the headlights on the T7. I really do. And the sound of the exhaust, you know, it's a factory pipe, and I will just tell you the sound is wonderful. And again, all the different gauges, options you have, you know, instant fuel economy, average fuel economy, trip, countdown, instant fuel economy, trip 2, trip countdown, trip 1, trip 2, air temperature, trip 1, coolant temperature, air temperature. I mean, it allows you to really set it up the way you want it set up. And then you can actually switch it over. Got my phone connected to what they call the Explorer gauges. This is a street gauge. Oh, sorry, wrong button here. There we go. And this is your Explorer gauges. So your tax on the bottom, fuel gauges on the left, and again, you can scroll with this little wheel right here on the handlebars and get the same option, just in a little bit different configuration. And honestly, this little handlebar scroll, let me get both in frame here. I can honestly say, not a fan of where they put that. I'm gonna put this back on street real quick. after riding it, I'll go ahead and shut this off. I would have much rather had this on this side. When you're riding down the road and you want to change between one or the other, the throttle is very responsive on this motorcycle. So when you're trying to get your thumb to scroll through gauges, you might give a little twist to the throttle and you're going to feel the jerkiness on it. Not a fan of that. Anyway, sorry, I got sidetracked. Going back to anybody looking at the KLR or the T7 as a budget-friendly motorcycle, I highly encourage you guys to do your research on both. Sit on them. If you can demo them, by all means, demo both of them. But do the research. I think they're both phenomenal machines. They've both been around and they're both top sellers in their industry. But for me personally, I don't want to carry oil. I don't want to have to mod it with a thermobob or a doohickey aftermarket part right out of the gate. I want to be able to add modifications for traveling, stuff that I want to, put on the bike, not stuff I need to put on the bike. So this is just my opinion, just my 2 cents. People are going to comment and say the doohickey and the thermobob are not needed. They've got thousands of miles, never needed it. And that's very well true. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. I'm just saying for my personality, there is too much controversy in you need it or you don't need it. So it's something I'm always going to think about. Does that mean the T7 is perfect? Probably not. But I will tell you, out of all the research I've done, there's nothing about this bike that people say you have to modify from a reliability standpoint. So in the next video, you guys will see this machine looking a little bit different with the aftermarket parts. Temperatures are getting a little warmer out here in the Northwest, so I'm hoping to get this thing on the road a bit more in the coming weeks, get some modifications done. But anyway, just wanted to share my initial thoughts between the KLR and the T7. Leave comments, ask questions. I'm happy to answer them. And again, these are all my opinion. None of this is, fact and fact only, so to speak. Just what I've discovered, what I've figured out, and why I made the choice to go with the T7 over the KLR. So, like I said, guys, more videos to come. For any of you that have been watching my past videos on my channel regarding my toy hauler travel trailer, there's a future video coming on a repeat issue with that, and I'll break that down on another video. But I think this one's long enough. Hopefully it wasn't too all over the place. Like I said, could not be happier with this machine thus far. Like I said, only a few miles, and you guys have a good night.